This is a very unusual thing to see happen. I'm not sure when this has happened really in recent history before, certainly not in my career. The large number of generals who could be in attendance would include those working in conflict zones. This is, again, without recent precedent. So highly, highly unusual. It has apparently stirred some anxiety among some top military officials. Don't forget Mr. Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of War Hegseth, has fired several senior officers. So are these things related perhaps to the issue going on with Comey? Are they anticipating some kind of problem resulting from that? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't want to speculate too much. Maybe you guys have some ideas and some thoughts on this, but I think that it's important to cover this breaking news as it's quite massive right now, and a lot of friends of mine are saying this. We're also getting news that the Justice Department is officially pushing prosecutors to investigate George Soros' foundation, because the fear is that that foundation has actually put money into organizations that have been indeed quite anti-American and led to, unfortunately, some of the radicalization of some individuals. So those allegations are out there, and that's being looked at. Whether or not any of these things are intertwined at this moment in time, we don't know. But again, Hegseth is said to have summoned U.S. military brass from all over the globe for this meeting, and he is not saying why. We do have a few other things going on. We have, for example, the shutdown layoff threat. I want to get to that. I'm going to be joined by my friend Kent Strang from Americans for Prosperity, who eats, sleeps, and breathes policy. So he knows all about this CR and how we get a clean CR. I know that the administration is talking about firing massive amounts of people. In other words, in the past, right, what would you have happen? You would have the government shut down, everybody gets a 2-week vacation, they come back, they get paid, their back pay, and they're back to work. Very different this time around. This president wants a smaller government, and if Chuck Schumer isn't willing to give him a clean CR, he's like, okay, then we're going to get a smaller government one way or another. So that's also in the back of everyone's mind. I'm reading from some of your comments here. Clean house, somebody's saying that, this is wild. Everyone buckle up. Going to be a wild ride. Take it back to the airbase. We don't know. We don't know at this point. I will work the phones, as I always do, and I will try to bring you more information as we get more of this together, again, by the live show tomorrow. But I can tell you that this is extremely unusual. I have a lot of respect for Pete. He's a good friend. I'll just tell you a personal story. When I was, frankly, you can call it whatever you want. I guess technically I wasn't fired because they couldn't fire me. I was under contract. But when Fox and I parted ways because I dared to say the unthinkable, like maybe we shouldn't be shutting down the entire country and that the Democrats might actually turn this into a political event back in March 2020. Yeah. That was a big deal. And the left pounced, and I found myself without any kind of management support. So, I was out on my keister. Fine. It all worked out in the end, right? I'm very happy over here. Believe me, I'll never go to work for anyone else ever, ever, ever again. That's my motto to myself. So remember to subscribe, share, make a comment. Every bit helps. I would say this. Pete was just one of the greatest guys, and I can count on one hand, really, the people that reached out to me, including the President of the United States, who called me at home on Saturday morning. After Fox made this announcement, I heard immediately from Pete. I heard from my friend Rachel Duffy. I heard from a fair amount of people. Tammy Bruce over at the State Department. I heard from some really good eggs, okay? Really, really good eggs. Eric and Lara Trump, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who was then dating Don Jr. And you know what? You don't forget this. Bongino, you just don't forget this, okay, guys? Because when push comes to shove and you're persona non grata, when your friends are the ones that you hear from, okay? So maybe I can count on two hands, but it was not a ton of people. It was the people that actually believed in what I was saying and were respectful enough, and friends that were close enough to reach out. So I think that, Pete's a smart guy. Princeton undergrad, he worked at Bear Stearns back when Bear Stearns was a thing. So he had a job in finance. He's a smart guy, and whatever he's doing so with good reason. So we'll continue to watch for this. Again, I just want to reiterate this headline. Top U.S. military officials from all over the world are being summoned to Virginia, hundreds of generals for a big meeting. And it comes at a really interesting time as we have the federal government going after these groups that they believe are related to some of this domestic radicalization. It comes as we look at James Comey getting indicted, likely Letitia James getting indicted, and you have this sort of fracture, right, between state and local and federal government, where you have the likes of LA or the likes of Chicago saying, hey, we're not going to cooperate with ICE, even though Congress sets the rules on immigration. And ICE is charged with actually tracking down illegal migrants, especially ones that are criminal, and getting them out of the country. And you have these communities saying we refuse to cooperate. So things are getting very heated. And let's hope that this is all okay. All right. Let's all hope for the best, because we certainly don't want any kind of discord, but we've seen plenty of it. I mean, considering what happened to my friend Charlie, right? That tells you everything you need to know. Again, I want to reiterate that this is happening as we look at a government that could possibly be shutting down. I mean, isn't this interesting, right? So I want to talk about this a little bit, because a government shutdown is something that we've seen a lot of, and we've certainly heard lots of talk of in the past. And you know how these things go. You shut down briefly, temporarily, and then all of a sudden things like come back together, right? Well, this could be a little bit different, just saying.